What is going on, everybody? It is Josh and Aaron here with the Finlay Mortgage team. Thanks, everybody, for coming on today. Today, we're actually having a phenomenal conversation with real estate agent extraordinaire, Emma Pace. Emma is a real estate agent out of the Toronto area, has all the info in regards to residential real estate, leasing. We actually go and watch a lot of her videos to keep track of the market pulse and what's going on. With this video, it's kind of just like an informal conversation. We're going to talk about what's happening in the real estate market. The sentiment is definitely FOMO at the moment. I think we're seeing a lot of people just concerned, and especially people our age, so people who are in their late 20s who actually maybe have moved up into not having just an entry-level job, making decent money, maybe saved up some money, or the parents are able to give them money.
Yeah.
How do these people who are financially responsible purchase any houses anymore when the barrier to enter the market for a decent home is $800,000 or $900,000? Like, it's a lot of people are concerned about being able to move into a home, because if things keep going the way they're going, in 2-3 years, is anybody going to be able to afford anything?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, everyone just forgets that housing is really just, you break it down so simply to supply and demand, and everybody keeps looking at other factors of there's this, and then there's that, and then there's the investors, and it's like, no, it's like you said, you got 5 weeks of inventory in Toronto, you have 400 or close to 500,000 new immigrants coming over the next 4 to 5 years, whatever it is. We definitely don't have that many new builds. The government, talking about wanting to build 500,000 new builds isn't even in a time frame to be able to match the immigration coming over.
Yeah.
Something I always talk about is you take a look at the cultures behind the immigrants that are coming, where it's a lot of Asian and Indian population. These are all populations that are really big on work culture, and they all have a very good income. They're coming over from generational family wealth.
Yeah.
And these guys, like the young guys that are coming over, have good jobs. They're definitely competing with the average Canadian on income, but they have the monetary sources to back the down payments. And it's much easier for them to compete at 25-30% down payment, whatever it is. And they come in and it's not as much competition for them to come in and buy homes as it is for the average Canadian who's competing for them.
And I think the mentality, because I do have a lot of, new permanent resident clients, right? The mentality is different for them, because they're oftentimes used to living in a smaller space. And, for me specifically, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in a detached house. My dream when I was a kid, I'm like, I don't want to live in a condo. I've never lived in a condo in my life. I want that big house, right? So I think that's this Canadian kid mentality, when it's if your competitors don't have that, they don't have that mentality. They don't think spending $800K for a condo is crazy, because it's not crazy to them. And they're to be honest, a little bit more realistic about what's happening in the market. But what I try to get across to my guys is, you don't just go and buy a detached house in Toronto as a 30-year-old professional now. There's a little bit of a process to this. And when I first started in real estate, it was buy your condo, buy your detached house. And even in London, it was go to your detached house. That's fine. That was 5 years ago. Now it's buy your condo, move to your townhouse, and then maybe a semi, and then you can get the house, right? There's a process. And as this market continues to appreciate, you kind of just get another interim house that you have.
You add a tiny house.
Yeah.
It's
like a tiny little upgrade,
condo, a big condo, a tiny house.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see the progression. And unfortunately, it's that's kind of what's happened in London as well too. A lot of my friends that had the budget to buy detached properties, it's now they have to start with the condo townhouse or the semi. And they don't want to do that, because 5 years ago, they're 5 years ago. It's yeah, it was 5 years ago, man.
Yeah.
The market changed within
4 5 years ago.
Yeah. 5 years ago, you also said, I'm going to wait till it cools down a little bit. And you're 5 years later and you're still waiting for it to cool down. So
it's don't get me wrong. It's shitty. It sucks. No one wants to make sacrifices. But the people when people go how are people doing this? People are doing this because they're making more sacrifices than you are.